And now,
it's 10 a.m.
Let's just get down to it.
And it's time for your sports fix.
Strap yourselves in, folks.
From two guys who have covered the teams you're passionate about for years.
We are professionals.
This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone. Jake Scott, Ben Anderson, thank you for making us a part of your day. Hi, Ben.
How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
You know what? I'm happy to be at work.
Yeah, right. Sometimes there's just days you don't mind. Especially, I tell people this all the time. The nice part about this job is you can't think about anything else.
Right. It's intense.
You know,
it's intensive.
You have to focus on something else. And that's something in sports, which we all love, or I suppose would be doing something else. So that's nice sometimes. Like coming to work is kind of nice sometimes. It's like, I got to turn that off for a second, and then let's talk about Lloyd's seat-saving scandal online.
Oh, is that a thing?
Yeah, I'm curious where you weigh in on this. I didn't know it was a thing, and then I was talking to Lloyd about it before the show, and Christian.
Okay.
And this, I guess, will come up on Hans and Scotty. I'm sure. Lloyd went to like a performance for his kid.
Okay.
And or so it was one of his kids, right? Or was it his niece? It was his niece. Oh, that makes this story more controversial. He says, at a performance, and the amount of people saving chairs for others with shoes, baby wipes, jackets, etc., is at another level. Yeah, I dislike every one of you. You are on the same level as people who don't return shopping carts. That is all. Have a blessed day, you horrible humans.
I will
now,
say...
wait. Hold on. There's one other bit of information.
Okay.
Because that makes this story more funny.
Okay, good.
So Jessica, Lloyd's
significant other,
longtime spouse.
Yeah. His caretaker.
Has like a boot. She's got some like foot ankle stuff going on.
Okay. Not on her car.
No.
Okay.
That would be Lloyd, not Jessica. Okay. No, she's got a boot. She's dealing with some stuff. So Lloyd was perturbed because she needed to sit down.
Yeah.
So he ended up just swiping the stuff off a couple of seats and sitting down. Now, when confronted, he pointed at the boot and said, "I don't know what to tell you," and then the other people just moved on.
Okay.
But I'm curious where you land in this whole thing.
Reserving seats within reason is absolutely acceptable. It is not just the whole party has to be there. Like if I'm going, our kids have a Christmas hours. We say that because they go to the same school, not because you and I share children. Uh-huh. They have a Christmas singing performance coming up this week. If I go and I beat my parents by 5 minutes, and I save 2 spots for my parents, I think that's completely reasonable, right? I think that's fair. If I'm trying to wipe out an entire row, no, that's insane. So here's the rule. You can save the number of seats double to the people that are already there. So if I'm 1, I can save 2 additional. If there's 2, you could potentially save 4 additional, and even that's probably pushing it a little bit. You can't be saving 5 seats, though. You know what I mean? That's a row.
I agree with you. Yeah, it's one thing if there's a coat on the seat next to you because Dad had to drive separately because he's got to go to work, which is something that I
drop Mom off at the front door.
Yeah. But I might add another wrinkle. If you're there, or you and most of your party are there, and you've got one coat on the chair, if you've got a wiped out row, or even 3 or 4, and you're just in the back shooting the bull,
yeah,
you forfeit the right to that.
I agree with that.
Like that's my additional wrinkle. Like somebody had to run to the John real quick, so I'm going to slide over and just make sure that they have a place to sit. That's one thing. Is if you saw your neighbor Bert and you want to talk to him about the intricacies of their sprinkling system, like I don't know, that's not cool.
I'm with you.
So that's the only other thing I would throw in there.
And let me add one more wrinkle.
Okay.
A lot of wrinkles.
Once you get beyond a coat or a sweatshirt being what you're used to reserve the space.
Tic Tacs and like anything else in your pocket.
You put a scarf down, or you put your shoes down. Like
no,
sorry, pal. A coat? Fine.
Yeah, baby wipes? No.
No, yeah, right, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could just be garbage that somebody left
But
behind.
no, that means you're saving 15 seats and you're running out of stuff.
Can't do
like a
it.
coat means you're saving one
Yeah, right.
seat.
Oh, the coat is there.
A coat means that's one.
That's one.
You get down to like Tic Tacs and like stuff like that.
Your car keys, just your car keys? No.
That means the whole family's coming.
The whole family's gone. Yeah, can't do it. Absolutely can't do it.
Okay.
And if you want them, get there early.
As usual, this is quite nuanced.
If you want them, get there early. Lloyd was there with his injured wife, and they get access to the seats then because they showed up on time.
I'm mostly, though, I'm more anti-reserve than you, though. Especially when it comes to, I'll add this, especially when it comes to lines.
Okay.
If I've been waiting in line forever and you're about to get up and your whole family comes up to order, or not even order, but like think airport security or something like
right.
that. Like
roller coasters.
Oh,
Yeah.
there it is. Like rides.
Yeah.
It's like, okay. That ain't cool.
Right.
Back of the line. Like Stanley at Pretzel Day.
Pretzel Day. Exactly right.
Back of the line.
I'm with you.
I've been standing here forever.
I'm with you.
All right.
Yeah, within reason. Be a human. You don't get the whole row because you got there and nobody else
You
does.
put your sock on here, pal. That means like, where's
Yeah.
sock on the list? That's like 12th. That means you're reserving like 12 seats.
Can I tell you what I really don't have sympathy for? People who try and save parking spots by standing in it. If the car's not there, you don't get the parking spot.
David James is agreeing with you.
How far did you walk to get to this parking spot? And how far away is the car?
I feel like it's okay if you're in a giant city.
I think that might even be worse.
No, it's worse at the mall. You can't do it at the mall. You know, everybody's out here doing the battle bots, which I also tried to do on Saturday.
Yeah.
But if it's like I've been sitting there bird-eyeing waiting for somebody to leave because I'm in New York City and you have to stab somebody to get a parking
Sure.
spot, I'm standing in that dang spot.
You're going to stand and wait until your wife brings the car around.
Right.
I'm a little on the line there. To tell you the truth.
No, but if you do it at Fashion Place because you found a nice spot by the Crate and Barrel, I'm going to run you over.
Yeah. I'm just going to push you out of the way.
That does remind me that if these people knew some of Lloyd's history, they wouldn't be confronting him.
Oh,
absolutely not.
Certainly. He
No.
should have led with, I'm
They
a
knew his
Raider.
rap sheet.
I'm
Yeah.
a Raider fan.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I don't know if that's something that
You ought to mess with.
you should probably include that in your calculus.
I'm in Raider
before you
Nation.
yeah. I am a Raider fan. That means I will go to great lengths. Certainly to justify rooting for a football team. What a terrible team. Good. My Lanta.
That's a person who likes pain.
That's a person who likes pain.
Dishing it and taking it. So be careful.
Absolutely.
Don't mess with that person.
In fact, don't the Raiders unfortunately play tonight? Oh, but they play against my Falcons, which is great.
You're trying to avoid last place in the old fantasy?
I am.
Okay.
I am, and I'm so heavily invested in the Falcons, and it burned me all year.
Yeah.
But now they're playing the Raiders, so maybe I avoid the cellar thanks to their porous defense.
Okay.
What a wacky week. Where do you want to start today, Ben? Do you want to start with like college basketball because there's plenty to get to there. The Jazz actually played, but it was on Friday, so that feels like a million years ago, but it was an interesting game.
It was a great game. Did you have a college basketball direction you were trying to go in?
No, I mean, the Aggies are red hot. I mean, 10-0 for the first time in program history, which seems wild with yet another
new coach.
Another new coach. And Falslev is
He's awesome.
awesome.
Yeah, he's awesome. That's probably an NBA player.
And Ryan Odom really did everybody a favor by redshirting him 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So, and by the way, Coach Calhoun, the coach we're talking about here, Jared Calhoun, was on with DJ and PK this morning and was very good.
Yeah.
So I would encourage folks to maybe check that out. And BYU's a story, coming back, what do you expect in league, that sort of thing, when they get their whole roster. But as far as the Jazz Suns go, I mean, I don't know how many games I've seen with less defense played until the game was in doubt, which is hilarious. That was like a atypical NBA game. Like nobody's going to try until the game's close, and then it's like, oh, we better get at it.
This was interesting, and Will Hardy was asked about it. I'm sure you heard after the game. And I kind of thought, don't assign – causation isn't correlation. essentially is what I'm trying to say. And what the question was, do you think having all this time off allowed guys to have better legs, and better legs allowed guys to shoot better? And I thought it's an interesting theory. Will Hardy kind of echoed that and said, you have to ask the players, but there might be something to it. Jordan Clarkson was very funny after the game. He was like, well, I don't really like practicing, so I don't really want to have 4 days off. I just like to play the games. And it wasn't Allen Iverson. We're talking about practice. He was just saying, I'm 32 or whatever he is.
Well, he actually showed up. The problem with AI was he didn't show up.
Jordan's like, I don't want to be at practice at 7 a.m. in a layup line.
Of course not.
Nobody
does.
No,
but he shows up.
He still does it. But then last night, the Warriors and the Mavericks played. So the Jazz and the Suns tied an NBA record for most combined threes made in a game with 44. Each team made 22. Tied an NBA record. Last night, the Warriors and Mavericks crushed it. They had 48 combined. And were like 2 or 3 off heading into the fourth quarter. It was like it was obvious they were going to blow past this record, and they did. Luka had 26, 9, and 8 before halftime. And I did wonder, okay, maybe this added rest has helped these guys. Maybe it's helped all of them. Now, if I remember correctly, the Warriors and the Mavericks, why they were playing each other, is because they actually did make the quarterfinals of the NBA Cup, so they didn't actually have as much rest. So that kind of made me dismiss it a little bit. But it did bring back the idea of our team's going to play better if they have added rest, and I think it's something the NBA is always trying to balance and has never quite fully figured it out. There are fewer back-to-backs. There are almost no 4 games in 5 nights anymore. There's very few back-to-backs in different cities. They play more back-and-back at home or back-to-back at home. I think they have addressed some of that, and I'm curious if it has helped.
Define better.
Yeah, I think that's a good question.
Yeah, play better. Define better. I don't think the NBA will ever get it right because I don't think there is a right to get. I think you have let the agents in the door.
Yeah.
And now they're taking all the leverage that they can get. The agents want their players to play less and like what work the glamour muscles? What is that when it comes to working out? I'm not a workout guy.
Let's get Steve Bartle on the phone.
When you're just doing biceps only,
yeah.
You've got teensy chicken legs with giant biceps. I mean, that's what they want.
Uh-huh.
They don't care about their clients playing defense. They care about their clients filling up the box score, and they care about their clients making threes, frankly. And so, is it better? I don't know. You would think that there would be a defensive correlation to the rest thing.
And there it wasn't, clearly in either game.
There seriously wasn't. And I was just thinking this as you were saying that. You know what Jerry Sloan's opinion of that question would have been? These are professional athletes.
Yeah.
Get your hard hat or whatever, suck it up and go play.
Yeah.
If you're able to play, you better give me 100%. That was his thing. If you're not able to play, well, sit down. It became quite apparent with Carlos Boozer. He said that all the time when it was so controversial that Carlos was in and out of the lineup. And he's like, if you can't play, I don't want him to play.
Yeah.
If you can't play, he better it better be 100%.
Right.
If you can't play, sit down and enjoy the game. You know what I mean? These are professional athletes. So 5 days off, fewer back-to-backs. That hasn't changed a dang thing. In fact, players play less and shoot more threes because it's the glam shot. It's the glam muscle. And then so the agents have teamed up with the analytics nerds who say that that's actually the better way to win basketball games. And then the franchises jump on board. I mean, Kawhi only plays 30 games this season because he's the one who proved this to be a success.
Yeah, and, somewhat. Kawhi is such a bad example, not of what you're saying. Kawhi is a stupid way to base a team building off of. Because one year he won in Toronto.
It worked.
You know what I mean? It worked. To
year.
say that's the right way to do it because it worked once, I think is a really stupid way to do it.
And kind of the Spurs. Remember Greg Popovich?
Yeah,
toward
he
the
did.
end of those geezers' career, he
and to
was
be fair, though,
out for rest.
The term though you used was that those were geezers because Tim Duncan wasn't missing games when he was 23 years old, fresh out of Wake Forest.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? He wasn't. Tony Parker was playing a lot. Manu Ginobili was playing a lot. And as they got older, they all played fewer games. And again, I think we'd all be shocked to go back and realize fewer games mean they played 65, not they played 30. They were playing most nights still and overwhelmingly the majority of those games. So I agree with you. So I'm curious. And we will see tonight. Jazz play the Clippers. Speaking of Kawhi Leonard, sounds like he's getting somewhat close to his return, but the Jazz have had added rest.
I've been hearing that for 5 years now.
Some guys have been down in the G League. In fact, they recalled Cody Williams. We'll see if the G League helped him. I do think it's actually helped Jazz players in the past that we have seen. It helped Taylor Hendricks and Bryce Sensabaugh last year, and I think it actually helped Ochai when he went down his rookie season, came back, was pretty good the second half of the season. So we'll see if it does help Cody if he even gets on the field, or on the floor, I should say. But, I think this mid-season break, I don't hate it. The idea of like giving these guys a little bit of a rest in December, which can get a little bit of the dog days, and then when people tune back in, because college football is over and the NFL gets to the playoffs and there's fewer games, there's going to be more eyeballs on your product. If you think you can get a better final 55, 60 games of the season because of this NBA Cup where teams are playing 2 and 3 games total over a 2-week stretch, I'm honestly all for it. I just want to see that the results actually bear that out.
They won't. Make the All-Star break longer if you're really looking for rest. My opinion.
Yeah, I would listen to that.
By the way, real quick with Phoenix, I mean, Kevin Durant and Devin Booker are so unguardable. Royce O'Neal, and you could throw in like Tyus Jones into this too. They were on the perfect team. Royce didn't have anybody in the same county.
Yeah, right.
Every time he took a shot.
Yeah.
Because if you don't run guys and I had a Thurl put it in the postgame, called it like a mini blitz.
Uh-huh.
But if you don't run guys at Booker and Durant, they will win the game.
Yes.
So it's kind of some pressure on guys like Royce O'Neal that you got to make those shots. But I mean, you and I have watched these guys in practice, Ben. When nobody's guarding them, they don't miss.
They're automatic, yeah.
They don't miss, like ever.
Practice guys, and I mean this seriously, probably shoot 80% from 3.
It's pretty wild.
Yeah, they are so much better at it than you are at anything in the world at shooting a basketball. They do not miss in practice.
And Royce bricked some wide open threes with the Jazz. But I don't know if he was ever that wide open. I mean, it's pretty bananas how many open shots that he got. He went 5 for 9 from 3, and Tyus Jones went 5 for 7.
Yeah.
Because there's just nothing you can do. And the Jazz, who are young and learning and doing these things, don't know the connective defense necessary to play against that type of team because it's complex. I mean, let's get Coach Chiesa on the horn. He could tell you all about it.
Yeah.
And the Jazz just aren't there yet to be a strong defensive team in those kind of situations, but like a lot of teams aren't.
The Jazz know how to do what's right and not how to do the right thing. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Like, they can execute, I think, all the things Will Hardy is probably asking them to execute. I don't know sometimes if they know why they're doing it. And they're just like, well, I'm supposed to be here. This goes back to Will Hardy's conversation a lot about like, hey, Dalton Knecht has hit 6 threes in a row. Break protocol. Quit running the defense the right way. And you need to recognize that without me calling a timeout. Like, you need to understand 3 plays in a row, Royce O'Neal's been wide open on these threes. Why is that happening, and how do you adjust it? And you're right, that's not what we talked about in practice. But it goes back to your old quote of, what is it, Ron McBride had a player. It was like, Coach, he didn't go left.
You were supposed to go this way.
You were supposed to go this way. How am I supposed to block him if he didn't go the way I had trained for him to go? I think some of that is there with the Jazz. So they are doing the right things, and they are trying really hard to think the right way. Sometimes you have to do the right thing wrong enough times before you know how to fix it. And that is part of the process of growing a team.
Here's where somebody like Kyle Filipowski could really take a note from somebody like Kelly Olynyk. And that just, you know how Devin Booker's not making shots in your face? When he's sitting down because you slid under him.
He's got ice on his knee.
Or very least worried about it. It's in his head.
Yeah.
That this guy might slide under me or do any normal or any number of dirty things.
But then the reaction to that is, then I don't mean the Kelly Olynyk thing.
That was a joke.
When you break off of a defense, and let's say it's Colin Sexton, because Colin actually I think does recognize what's being asked of him, and splits off and says, hey, I get that I'm supposed to show or whatever on Kevin Durant and help and chip or whatever. But actually, the concern on this play is when Kevin Durant catches the ball with his back to the basket at 18 feet, and I double team, he knows Royce O'Neal is 1 pass away in the corner for a wide open 3, and he's shooting 5 of 9.
Yep.
So Colin says, I'm going to break protocol, and I'm going to go help. The thing is, that's when Kyle Filipowski needs to recognize, how do I react now that my help is gone?
Help the helper, Ben.
Yeah, and how do I recognize that?
Yeah.
Now, either I'm on an island and I have to push Kevin Durant to his weak spot, which basically doesn't exist, but I have to know at least what my percentages are in that situation because we have made an on-the-court adjustment. And again, that's not bad basketball. That's inexperience. And I think that's where a lot of these Jazz issues are coming from. I would be more concerned, honestly, if I was a Suns fan and I allowed the Jazz to also score 71 points.
Well, they're never going to play any defense.
And they're not a title contender as a result of that. And they are great when KD's on the floor, but unfortunately, they don't get to play the Utah Jazz every night when they get to the playoffs.
No, they don't. No, they don't.
Not this year.
But the defensive concepts of what Ben is describing is also the reason that, and speaking of Kawhi Leonard and the Clippers tonight, if Kawhi ever played, why he was so valuable, because he could take anyone out of the game.
Right.
And not 100% of the time, because he's had plenty of showdowns with Kevin Durant and the like where he came out on the losing end. But there was that chance where he could play those guys straight up and there was nothing that they could do about it. And the rest of the defense is way better as a result.
Yes.
And that's why I never liked Quinn Snyder's just let him beat you defense. I remember, what playoff game was it after, Ben, where Mike Conley got a sharp question about defense, and he's like, that's the design.
Yeah,
that's what they tell us.
I think it was the last game. I think it was the last game of the Quinn
Clippers
Snyder era.
One? No.
That was on the road. Might have been the Dallas game. So it was the next year.
Yeah.
I think it was the next year. It was the Dallas loss. Bogey misses the three in the corner that would have won the game and sent it to whatever game 6. I can't remember what it was.
The whole design of the defense is to get beat on the perimeter and feed it to Rudy.
Pass him off to Rudy.
And I never liked that.
Yeah.
I get where Rudy's value is, but that doesn't mean you got to just let your guy go. That makes no sense.
Rudy's a great safety net, but as you learn in your life as you get older, like, you can't rely on the safety net. It's a safety net for a reason. It's not a go-to.
But what you just described is the case, that when Rudy takes your guy, well, then everybody else has to react. And if one person doesn't do what they're supposed to do, it's the NBA, so that means wide open three or dunk or whatever. It's the slightest mistake. If you just play your guy straight up, you eliminate a lot of that.
Our producer Christian's washing machine just went out? What was it? Your washing machine. Hopefully, you and your wife have a rainy day fund. That's like, okay, the washer goes out. I can go spend $1,200 on a new washer. If your rainy day fund is your everyday bank account, you can't go to the rainy day fund anymore. Rudy Gobert or these great defenders are supposed to be rainy day funds. I get beat. Bad defense by me, Rudy's there. Fine. But if you're always going to Rudy, there's no safety net there. There's no rainy day fund. And you go and you turn to it, you say, oh, there's no money there left. That was the problem.
Did you get your new washer?
It's actually currently being delivered right now. My wife's trying to take care of it with the delivery people, yeah.
Did you go old school with the wash tub and the thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Rainy day fund was running a little dry.
Is there a river close to your house that you can go and wash your clothes
River's a stretch. I'd call it a creek. Yeah. But there's,
And it's quite
we'll
cold.
make it work.
But
you get the washboard.
Going to town.
Now that's a rainy day fund.
Going to town. Oh, good. I'm glad you got your washing machine. Going without a dishwasher is terrible, too. And that's a first world problem for sure, because I definitely had friends that lived in houses that did not have
I think my first 2 apartments I lived in didn't have dishwashers. And I didn't realize how quickly dishes stack up. And the best thing you can do, have fewer dishes. If you only own 3 dishes, you can only ever wash 3 dishes.
I get your point. Those friends that I had ate over the garbage can half the time.
Yeah.
I just don't want to do the dishes, dude. I just need a paper towel and just put me over the garbage can. gonna eat this thing. No, that's dishes. And here's Lloyd. Speaking of Lloyd uses the excuse that he's grossed out by wet food as the reason that he won't do the dishes. So Jessica always does the dishes because Lloyd claims he's grossed out by. Everyone's grossed out by wet food. It's gross. It's terrible. It's why nobody likes doing the dishes.
Yeah, right. Everyone has that.
Everyone has that. That's a common trait for everyone. Lloyd's like, I kind of gag every time. It's like, dude.
It's different for me. It's not.
It's not at all. I get into a pan that's been sitting there for half a day that's got
old
gross
green beans in it.
Scum water in the bottom.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gagging too, dude. Suck it up and wash it.
Right. Yeah, right.
All right, stay tuned. Top 3 stories of the day at KSLSports.com. Coming up next, Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I present?
This is JJ and Alex.
Let's start off with the good news of Kyle Whittingham coming back. Tell me what that means for this Utah team and what kind of legacy are we going to see Kyle Whittingham hopefully set himself up for this next season?
He's worked too hard. He's accomplished too much of that program. He's the Lavelle Edwards of Utah football. You think he wants to go out 5-7? Of course not. The challenge for Kyle Whittingham now is to come back with a renewed energy and vigor to turn this program around. Kyle Whittingham has to rebuild his own program. There's a lot of changes already. We're up past 15 players that are in the portal. He's got a brand new offensive coordinator in Jason Beck. Utah looks completely different now than they did even 3 or 4 weeks ago. This is going to be a lasting part of his legacy, is to turn around the program that went 5-7 and turn them into something special next season. And a lot of work Alex is going to have to go into that.
Catch JJ and Alex afternoons from 3 to 6. Presented by G2G Bars on 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone. It's time to break down the biggest stories of the day. This is the top 3 stories of the day on KSLSports.com. On 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, want to remind you about Win Ticket Wednesday, your chance to win big every week. This week, you can win a pair of tickets to Toto, Men at Work, and Christopher Cross, August 27th at Utah First Credit Union Amphitheater. Listen to the KSL Sports Zone all day on Wednesday for your chance to win. Time for the top 3 stories of the day, brought to you by KSLSports.com, or at KSLSports.com, brought to you by J. Brooks Jewelers, 2 locations, one on Winchester Street across from Fashion Place Mall, the other at Traverse Mountain in Lehigh. Dude, one of their big advantages is being across from Fashion Place Mall. I tried to go to Fashion Place Mall on Saturday. It was...
Yeah, you don't need someone to come save your spot.
Bananas.
There will be a parking spot over there.
Oh, dude, if you know Fashion Place, I parked past the Chuckarama.
Yeah, right, yeah. You were over at the Men's Warehouse across the street.
I was basically, in Midvale.
Yeah.
Like that mall is in Murray, and I was in Midvale. It's like I got hitchhiked in. It was really something. All right, Christian, what's number 1?
Number 1, the Jazz are at the Clippers tonight.
We'll see if Cody Williams plays. He got recalled. We'll see if he's back out there. If not, regardless, whatever. I have been extraordinarily impressed with how hard Keontae George is playing.
Oh, that's the number 1 storyline right now. He's put together 3 games in a row now where he's played really well on both sides of the floor. You heard Will Hardy talking about it right there. Like he's just found a different level, it seems. And I want to see if that continues.
That's always the really strange thing about watching a player develop, and some guys never get rid of their weaknesses. Some guys don't care. Some guys just really never do it. And some guys, for whatever reason, it really clicks, and they bounce back, and they find a way to just – and look, defense is mostly effort. And then the question is, can you have the effort on one end and not lose your energy on the other side? And look, clearly it's possible because there are great two-way players in the NBA. Can you put forward the effort to do that? And I think that's going to be a huge issue, or an issue sounds like I'm being critical, a huge determining factor in the outcome of Keontae George's career. If he plays really hard, he is super talented.
Yeah. No, and we've talked about this with a variety of players, but I think the best example outside of Keontae right now is Walker Kessler. I think he went into last year's offseason thinking, oh man, I've got to play at a different level energy-wise. Not only skill, but energy-wise to be a guy in this league. And he's come in cracking skulls, and good for him. Somebody got in his ear and said, hey, dude, you got to take it to the next level. Like, it is really hard to exist in this league, the best league in the world. And if you're not pouring it all out every night, you're not going to make it. There are very few players that are good enough to play lazy, at least all the time.
If any. In all honesty, if any. And he figured it out. Okay, I got to play at the next level if I'm going to compete in this league. And I think the best stat that proves that out for Walker is his rebounding stats. And you can go back and look into that. Coach Lacombe said at one point he looked into it, and Walker was leading the league in contested rebounds. Yeah. So not just the freebies coming in off the free throws, but busting his butt
and digging out rebounds. Yeah. And I think he really figured that out. In the last 3 games, I think maybe Keontae might have at least gotten that indication that he's going to have to take it to the next level to be a guy in this league. And let me be the first to say that is impossible to like continue where he has it in his career. So as I say, I'm watching every game to see if it continues.
Sure.
There's going to be a game where it goes away for a second.
Oh, it might be tonight.
Yeah.
He just needs to start doing it 2 of every 4 and then 3 of every 5.
And that's what Will Hardy said.
Yeah.
Remember that? His good needs to be longer and his bad needs to be shorter and less frequent.
I thought one of the things Will said after the game, and again, you can always go find this stuff, kslsports.com. You can look at our Utah Jazz broadcast. It's in the podcast, and you can find some of the post-game stuff if you're ever interested to hear it. He just said, we can't build a defense to protect Keontae. I thought that was great.
Yeah.
That's a really critical way of talking about a player who you believe in without letting him off the hook. And they had kind of let him off the hook for a while. And I think that was to let him establish himself as an NBA player, as a scorer, find his comfort zone and his strength, and then say, okay, but not everyone else here is to cover up for your mistakes. You have to engage. Not everything can be done to protect something you're bad at. You need to stop being bad at it. And I love that.
Can I give you a funny comparison that jumps into my brain? So it was one of the more funny things I've heard my mother say. We're driving in the Outer Banks, and we're driving on the main road, which is quite busy. And this gal to say jaywalks dangerously would be understating it. She just decides to like walk across this road. And my mother goes, I'm sorry, you're not that pretty. You know what I mean? Like, if Steph isn't Gary Payton, well, we're going to build the defense around keeping Steph on the floor.
Right. Exactly right.
Honestly, what Dallas did at the trade deadline last year was like, okay, Luka is going to be a rusty gate out there. We got to build the defense around. And by the way, Kyrie Irving isn't stopping many folks either. So we got to figure out how to build a defense around these guys. There is something to the, listen, Keontae, we love you. How does Gordy put it? We love you.
Love you, dog.
However, you always start with the love you. This is why we love Gordy Chiesa. You always start with the I love you. However, and you have to go to Keontae George and be like, we love you.
Yeah.
However, you're not that good. You're not good enough for us to build a defense around you not playing any. And the way Will puts things is really matter of fact, but not in a mean way, which I think might be one of his strengths as a coach, because it doesn't sound as mean as I just put it, or even you just put it. But it is what he's saying.
Yeah.
Like, you're not good enough to play that way, so figure it out. But he puts it in a way that you get the message, but he doesn't sound like he's coming at you.
Well, remember Jerry Sloan's quote about C.J. Miles is, we can't put you in diapers in one night and a jock strap the next, which is an all-time great line. But that's essentially what he's saying. Like, this isn't here to protect you from making mistakes. You have to stop making mistakes.
Yeah.
Anyways.
That's AAU stuff.
So, excited to watch that tonight because he's been fun to watch. When he plays hard,
he's great.
Fabulously fun to watch.
He's been great.
When he doesn't, it sticks out.
And it's been, that's a good way to put it. Sticks out. All right, what's next?
Number 2, the Clubbies got revenge against the Sharks. They return to action tonight against Vancouver.
Are they home or are they on the road?
At home.
At home.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah, so you got to deal with a little bit of traffic. But
so nice when the arena's empty for road games, and it so rarely happens now. It used to happen all the time.
Yeah.
I got spoiled.
There's always something going on. In San Jose, Saturday night, kind of fell behind again. I mean, they were up early and then fell behind and had to come from behind. And these were these games that, again, even like 3 weeks ago, I think they collapsed. I think they kind of fall apart. They gave up some silly goals that they shouldn't. And they just kept battling back and got to the point where, again, it was tied with a minute left to go. Keller puts it in the back of the net to get the 4-3 win. It was 4-on-4 at the time. There'd been, I think it was fighting. That's why they both were shorthanded. But it was a terrific game. And again, they're just clicking. Logan Cooley's really starting to live up to the hype of him maybe being the most talented player on the team. When Ryan Smith bought the team, when he was one of the names we talked about, Dylan Gunther's certainly in that conversation as well. And then I actually thought it was cool to have Keller, who is the current best player, kind of get his roses that night of getting the game-winning goal.
They're fun to watch.
They're really fun to watch.
Yeah, they're fun to watch. They play fast and they score. And, I talked to one of my buddies yesterday who, he's like, we subscribe to the SEG Plus. We're on board.
Yeah.
And he was giving opinions as a guy who's just jumping into hockey for the most part. And he's like, it's fun.
Yeah.
It's really fun to watch. And they score, and they're far from the perfect team. And we'll see where that ends up, if it's a playoff berth or not. I would guess not. But fun to watch.
And again, I mean, even if you don't have SCG Plus, they're free on Channel 16.
Yeah.
If you can watch TV, you can watch the club. If you're looking for something to fill the void, if your college football fix is gone, I really do think hockey is a excellent product. They've been really fun to watch, to your point, and there's some upside there. So another win, and we'll see if they can keep it going tonight. They need to play well at home.
What is Channel 16? What's their programming? That's not the Cheaters station, right?
It might be. I don't have any idea. Like what is on before. It's like TNT's always playing Jag before you. Get
and listen, I'm not hating.
Basketball
By the way,
games.
make these games available. It's awesome. People find Channel 16. I'm not trying to hate. I think it's great.
Yeah.
I mean, especially in today's day and age where you have to pay for freaking everything. That's awesome. Yeah. So yeah, I'm not hating. But what else is program? Is that the Brandy channel?
I don't know if it's the CW. It might be.
Is that what Brandy was? Is that the one with the frog? No, that's the WB.
That was WB. But it was formerly CW bought whatever WB's.
What's the Park City one?
PCTV. I worked for them for a little bit.
Yeah, your former employer.
Did a high school sports TV show with them for a little bit.
What's next?
First off, my apologies. I read it wrong. The Clubbies play the Canucks on Wednesday.
Oh, so they're off tonight.
Oh, so they're off tonight.
Terrific news,
They're
everyone.
off tonight and tomorrow.
So don't come to the game tonight. They're not playing tonight. By the way, do you want to know what the number one show is on Channel 16? It's called Hot Bench.
Yes.
It's 3
Oh,
judges.
this is where Judge Judy is now.
Yeah. But even she's getting second billing to Hot Bench.
Okay. And then and the Utah Hockey Club. Okay, that's great. Hot Bench. I didn't know that was a thing.
It sounds like an Arrested Development fake TV show. Hot Bench.
Well, that's what these are. They're TV shows. They're not actual courts.
Correct. These aren't legally binding.
I never understood, and maybe you guys could explain this to me, like what type of person agrees to that? You know what I mean?
Well, they give you like a $300 regardless, right?
Yeah.
And your whole small claims court that you're going to, like your whole thing is over $250 in child support. So you're like, well, they'll pay it off for me. At the very least.
But this is like the same thing as like Jerry Springer. Like all those people got paid too. But how much is enough to humiliate yourself on national television? And get yelled at by some old lady named Judy.
Desperate times. Desperate measures. All right.
Or the hot bench.
The real number 3, Utah State basketball, as you mentioned earlier in the show, 10-0 for the first time in program history.
Wonder what the hot bench thinks of the Aggies.
They like him.
Thumbs up.
They don't even have a gavel. They just do thumbs up.
Or thumbs down. All right. Sorry. I couldn't believe, and not that, I mean, I'm surprised that this is the first time an Aggie team has gone 10-0. Just because the basketball there has been so good. And 10-0 is a huge feat.
It is.
But there's been some really good teams in Logan.
There is so much high variance generally in basketball that, it's just hard to win 10 games in a row. To the point where there is some variance of just this is a little bit monkeys and typewriters. Like they are a little bit accidentally 10-0 because so few teams ever get to 10-0. But they are well coached. They have talent. You mentioned Falstaff. He's awesome.
You know what's funny? There's this, we talk about good job, good coach. And I'm not saying that a lot of these guys weren't good coaches. But Utah State might be just a really good job. And part of that really good job is you have these players that are really loyal to Utah State. Mm-hmm. Like Mason Falstaff, this is his third coach.
Yeah.
And, was he a mission guy? So it's not even the coach that recruited him in the first place? That's wild. He shouldn't be playing there anymore, and he's great. Sam Merrill, how many head coaches does Sam Merrill have? 3? Stu Duryea and Craig Smith?
Craig Smith, yeah.
And he stayed the whole time? I mean, how do you start from scratch if you're a head coach coming into a Mountain West program? Well, I don't know, I'd have to look at the Mountain West further, but having a top 5 player in the league right out of the gate, well, that's pretty nice.
We should give some love to Ian Martinez as well.
Who's also really good.
Awesome. Yeah, he's been out of his mind, shooting over 40% from 3. He's at 18 points a game. He's very regularly
amazing he's still
scorer.
there.
Yeah.
These guys are super loyal. It's crazy.
And
That's got to be part of it.
He went to Utah for a year.
Yeah.
He goes to Maryland. He comes back to Utah State. And again, this is his second coach. Might not even be the coach that originally recruited him to Utah State.
Probably not.
I mean, so this technically could be his third coach he's talked to at Utah State. And has stayed and has played well. And what that tells you is people like Logan. people like playing for that
Logan. Well,
for that
people
organization.
care in Logan.
Yeah, and people care.
If you've been up to Utah State games, you know that people are passionate about it. It's got to be fun to play in that environment.
And people like the program, and that's a really overwhelming positive.
Falslev went to high school up there as well. I
did.
believe he went to
Falslev's-
Skyview. Yeah.
And Sam Merrill was a Bountiful guy, right? And wanted to go to Utah State. That was his thing. I mean, he was going to be an Aggie. So there's guys that want to go play there. And there's a lot of energy in that building, and there's a lot of energy in that program. And Utah State's a basketball school.
Yep.
So you can win there. And Coach Calhoun is figuring that out.
Some big games coming up. UC San Diego, not so much, but then they get St. Mary's on the road. Then they're at San Diego State, who's their first top 25 opponent. So they get into, obviously, conference play.
Yeah,
that's exciting.
A couple of tough ones right there.
Yep. But exciting. That's when you get tested.
Yep. All right. We'll have more coming up next. Stay tuned. Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Now let's get this party started.
This is Hans Olsen and Scotty G.
There are a couple of reasons that I didn't become a doctor.
Same reasons you didn't become a paleontologist.
Why do you crack a smile and then make a joke?
I'm just saying, there's a couple reasons I wasn't a lawyer. Number one, the LSAT scared me. Number two, I thought I'd fail miserably. And number three, I didn't think I was smart enough. So yeah, there are just a couple reasons why I didn't become a lawyer.
Can I make a point without you attacking me?
I'm not attacking you. Like, you've never talked about wanting to be a doctor before. To me, this seems like you were just right on the cusp of going to medical school, and then just these one or two little things came up and made you think, no, I'm not going to do that.
Doctor.
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 Can you not attack me? You know, it bugs me when you do that.
Doctor.
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 Stop playing that.
And doctor. Well, we miss anyone?
Catch Hans and Scotty weekdays from noon to 3 on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Who's got it better than us?
Your home for the best sports coverage in Utah. You're listening to Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Don't give me that look, Lloyd. I made a mistake. Give me a
Lloyd's
break.
in there, huh?
I read the wrong read for the Hockey at 50 update. Apologies. That update was actually brought to you by ReadyWise. Be wise, be ready. Your trusted partner in emergency preparedness. ReadyWise. Lloyd, did you have to? Is he still in there? Did that guy want to fight you? Who you pushed off the chair? Oh, of course he did. All right. This segment is brought to you by Peach Doors and Windows. Amazing home transformations begin with Peach, where 5-star reviews are the norm. Call them today for your free in-home estimate, 801-566-1255. Peach Doors and Windows. We were just going over in the break, Ben. We were talking a little NFL off the air. And Christian, no wonder he's riding high today. His Donks won again. They beat the Colts.
Bo Nix, big game, 3 interceptions.
Who cares? They won 9-5.
4 yards per attempt. It was pretty cool. Pretty good game.
I had this theory once upon a time, and I don't know. If you're a defensive team, have an offensive head coach. Does that make any sense?
Sure.
Like I always thought, I pointed to Brian Billick with the Ravens back in the day, like offensive guy, but on a defensive team.
Right.
Now, the Bears have proven me wrong over and over again, so maybe that's not one of those like hard and fast opinions. But the Broncos have the best defense in the league, close to it.
One of them, yeah. They really showed up yesterday for sure.
And then somebody with a little offensive creativity and make a dollar out of a dime on that side, have a stonewall defense, and you're looking at a pretty good team. You know what I mean?
Ideally. Yeah, ideally.
The Bucs, John Gruden as the Bucs head coach when they won the Super Bowl. Or wait a minute. Yeah, Gruden won with the Bucs. Yeah, absolutely. Because Dungy did not, but then Dungy won with the Colts. But remember that defense? That's like one of the best defenses in the history of football. So you bring in a guy who's semi-competent on the offensive side, and it's the recipe for a Super Bowl.
Yeah, you want to be careful to not overdo your strength. Great, have the best offense in the NFL if you can, but don't let that cover up the weaknesses that you're not addressing the defense as a problem.
Like, did Sean McVay, your guy with the Rams, did he win a Super Bowl, or did Aaron Donald win a Super Bowl?
Certainly helps to have a
what I mean?
true superstar.
I told you I interviewed for a job once, and with a different radio station that I thankfully never took. But I interviewed with this national company that has radio stations all over the place, and he's like, well, this station's in some rough shape. Now, we like to give resources to stations that show a little success and have a little success, and then the resources will follow after. And I was thinking to myself, like,
that's backwards.
Shouldn't the stations that are really good and riding high, shouldn't you be?
Yeah. You know what I don't do at my house that's not on fire? Call the fire department.
That was always a
I don't
weird
need the
thing
water.
to me. And you're trying to sell me the job by telling me that I got to take a crappy job and not get anything? Like, that's not, I don't think you're telling me what you think you're telling me.
Yeah, right. It's not the sell you think it is.
I don't think. Anyway, I thankfully didn't take that job. That didn't. And you know what? That really worked out. Anyway, we don't need to go into it.
Yeah.
But that always seemed backwards to me, no?
Yeah.
So you have this thing where you like the offense in Denver needs a little juice. Hire an offensive coach who can make the most out of a rookie quarterback and then let the defense do its thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, the Bears have hired like 10 offensive guys in a row and they always stink. But maybe it's because the defense isn't great or hasn't been since like the 90s.
They've not been good at anything. So yeah, that's a real issue.
Anything else NFL-wise, Stan? Yeah, we got 2 games tonight. The Bears, speaking of, are at the Vikings, and the Raiders play host to the Falcons.
No, I sold all my stock on the Bills, and maybe.
Yeah, that was too soon. They
Maybe
beat
that was
the
like
Lions.
when I sold all my Google stock in 2000.
48-42. Like, yeah, I got to get out on this thing. I don't think it's going anywhere.
Never taken off. I'm a Yahoo guy. I'm an Ask Jeeves guy myself. So I like the Bills. I just don't want to be tempted by them. But I do like the Bills. I love Josh Allen. Obviously, we had Dalton Kincaid on the show a lot, and that was very cool. It seemed like they got some addition by subtraction with Stephon Diggs. It seems like getting him off the team made them better.
I have 2 questions for you. Why did Patrick Mahomes forget how to play football? And
because you drafted him onto your fantasy team.
And is he faking his injury?
Yes.
There's that out there in the snap talk world.
Sure.
Saying every December, Mahomes leaves on the cart or whatever.
Yeah,
and
he does. He's always dealing with a bad knee. And they're like, crazy. He won the Super Bowl again with one leg every year.
It's because they love that narrative.
Yeah, they
can barely walk.
Yeah.
All right. Stay tuned. We'll have more Jake and Ben coming up next. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Want to get the latest info on Utah's newest sports franchise? Sign up for the Utah Hockey Newsletter. Exclusive analysis, plus the latest news and notes on the Utah Hockey Club. Sign up today at KSLSports.com for the Utah Hockey Newsletter. Brought to you by Quantum Fiber.
The sports you love, the teams you can't live without.
Get a sense of urgency!
This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone. Nominate the youth sports volunteer you know for the Hercules Hero of the Week. Submit your nomination at KSLSports.com/contest and listen every Thursday afternoon to JJ and Alex for the winner. Help us celebrate the efforts of those volunteers making an impact with the Hercules Hero of the Week, sponsored by Hercules First Federal Credit Union and Beehive Meals. We also want to remind you to join JJ and Alex coming up on Wednesday from 3 to 6 at Doug Smith Mitsubishi, 495 West Main Street in American Fork, just off the freeway. No one knows Mitsubishi like Doug. Ben, the NBA rolls on, and some teams are separating themselves.
The Nets made a trade. Some teams are already
beginning
moving the tanking process.
Well, the Nets were there. I mean, they're 10 and 15 right now.
They weirdly won way more games.
Like, we're winning too much. One of those teams that was not expected to be in this situation, Ben, the New Orleans Pelicans.
Yeah.
They are 5-22.
Yeah, worse than the Jazz.
They are tied for the second worst record in the league.
Yeah. Jazz have fewer losses, but the same amount of wins.
Jazz are 5-19. The Pelicans are 5-22, which is just amazing considering that they have a roster that I would think, I mean, it's not the perfect roster, but a roster that could make the playoffs in the West 100%.
At least the play-in. Zion, Brandon Ingram, C.J. McCollum, Herb Jones, Trey Murphy, DeJounte Murray. That is 6 legitimate.
And you didn't even mention Zion, did you?
NBA rotation guys. Regardless, it's 6 legitimate rotation guys that are like probably above average rotation guys. You know, for where they are in the pecking order, like if Herb Jones is your 4th best player, you're in good shape. He's that good. He's a very good player. So, yes, they shouldn't be this type of disaster.
And you're the worst team in the league?
Yeah.
And their salary situation isn't great either.
No, it's not.
So enter Mark Stein, who said this: while naturally resistant to trade inquiries for their younger players, Herb Jones, how do you say the rookie's name? Messi?
Yves Messi.
Yves Messi.
Yeah.
And Trey Murphy III. Word is that the Pelicans are essentially open to trade pitches for pretty much anyone else on the roster apart from those three amid their bad start.
Yeah.
So those pieces that you just mentioned there, Ben, we talk all the time about how, okay, it's one thing to go big game hunting. It's another thing for the other team to cooperate and being willing to part with said big game. So do any of these names qualify?
So I'm going to read you a quote really quick from Dyson Daniels, who was a part of the DeJounte Murray trade. He was traded to Atlanta. He's going to be in the conversation for most improved player. He's been incredible in Atlanta. It was basically a throw-in in this trade. He was an afterthought. He said of New Orleans, where he started his career, that organization's cursed. Every year there's something new. I'm happy I'm not there anymore. I had like 4 or 5 injuries down there as well. There's something down there in the water, like or something. They've got hamstrings, they've got knees, they've got concussions and stuff as well. They've got everything down there. I don't know what it is. Playing hard, I guess. Well, first of all, I don't think it's the playing hard thing.
Well, I think other teams play hard, but yeah.
There is something, and look, New Orleans is notoriously one of the worst organizations in basketball and in sports overall. Like, their football
Bennett
team,
family?
the Bennetts, the Saints, and the Pelicans are owned by the same family.
Yeah.
They make everybody double up the work. So, like, if you're the social media team for the Saints, you also do the Pelicans. Okay, that's 2 different organizations and companies and jobs altogether, but they're extraordinarily cheap and poorly run. So they kind of double up everything. So I believe that they do things poorly. Players of Zion Williamson's talent do not come along very often.
Okay, well, finish, but I don't entirely agree with that. But yeah.
Nor do they become available for trade very often, especially when it's, we'll take anything. And I wonder what that asking price is right now for Zion. And you have to understand, well, yes, he did just sign like a 3-year, $180 million, some crazy number. It's basically entirely non-guaranteed because it was based on how often he plays, and he hasn't hit those benchmarks. So you could trade for Zion this year, bring him into your program, and if you just need to cut bait in the offseason, you just waive him, and it doesn't cost you any money. Essentially, he's an expiring contract, but if you like him, you have the opportunity to bring him back.
So the only place I was going to split hairs, that's why I stopped, because it wasn't really relevant to your overall point, but I would not use the word talent with Zion.
Okay.
And here's where I would, unique talent, a guy of unique talent of Zion. I think he actually represents something more important than that, which is why I would listen with Zion. I don't know what the price would be, but I would listen because it's not his talent. It's his size and athletic ability, period, end of story. Now, it's nice that he can dribble, kind of. That's helpful.
Yeah.
But, like, if LeBron were 6'1" and 200 pounds soaking wet, LeBron wouldn't be in the league. LeBron's not in the league because of his talent. Now, he is. I hope people don't misunderstand me. But LeBron's size and athletic ability are the reason that he's one of the best of all time.
Yes.
I've argued for years, Shaq is not that talented. He's not a good basketball player. He's giant and athletic, and thus was dominant. LeBron hasn't been dominant because of his talent. Again, don't get me wrong. He obviously has talent. I'm not trying to discount that. But what makes him unique is his size and athletic ability. And that does not come around all that often at all. Giannis is talented, sure, but he is unique because of his size and athletic ability.
Right.
What makes Zion unique is his size and athletic ability. And I actually think Utah would be a really good spot for him if he knew what truly was a good spot. Does that make any sense?
Sure.
His problem, he went to New Orleans, which is a really loud city with, and I mean this, with a really rich culinary tradition.
Right.
A really rich culinary tradition. And that's not helpful for some people. Now, he needs to probably work on his personal discipline and all those sorts of things. But what players have said forever about Utah, which is I know something that we're trying to escape, but who's the most recent who said that you can just come here and work on your game?
Colin Sexton.
He said it's boring.
Yeah.
Essentially, he said Salt Lake is boring.
Yeah.
You can come here.
So there's no distractions.
And you can come and work on basketball.
It's just basketball.
That's it. And so the Jazz, I'm sure, would love to get him under their umbrella where they have their chef and the facility and the medical training and all that sort of stuff, and know exactly what you're talking about with the noisy Pelicans and say, hey, dude, it's really quiet here.
Yeah, right.
You want to get another max contract? Well, come here.
Yeah, man.
We'll make you a better basketball player. We'll thin you up. We'll help you with the discipline side of things. And you're not going to be getting into weird Instagram spats and all this weird other stuff that is preventing you from being a great basketball player.
We're all basketball. That's it.
LeBron was really good at handling distractions. He was. I'll give him a ton of credit. His mom was kind of a distraction there for a minute. He was actually really good at handling distractions. Zion needs to be good at handling distractions. I truly believe that's what's holding him back. He can't play at 300 pounds. I don't know what the ideal weight would be for him, but wherever that is, get him there, keep him there, and then develop the skill on top of it. And you've got a player that is truly unique in the NBA, and that is what wins in the NBA, when you have unique, dominant players. Shaq was unstoppable. He couldn't even shoot a free throw. LeBron, who was it that said LeBron doesn't have any wiggle?
Matt Barnes or something like that. One of their
Or was it Doc's
right?
kid?
Yeah, it could have been, yeah.
That said LeBron just lines you up and goes over you. And hey, I'm not hating, but you go stand in front of LeBron. I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, right. Exactly right. Giannis' best skill.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he's just huge.
I'm going to run somebody over and dunk it.
Yeah.
Zion, I'm going to run somebody over, and not only am I going to dunk it, I'm going to throw a windmill right in their face. But then the nerds will tell you, but he can't shoot a three, which you can't. But I'd like to see you go stand in front of that guy.
Yeah. And then the question is, do you believe in your program enough that you can rehabilitate him to get 65 games, 70 games, and then the best games out of him?
I'd think about it.
I would.
I'd think about it for sure.
Because you're not giving up Taylor Hendricks, Keontae George, and Walker Kessler. You're talking about John Collins and Drew Eubanks.
Yep.
To make the salaries work.
And if let's say you're Oklahoma City, who has more resources than the Jazz do, and you'd be interested in this too, you wouldn't have to fit Zion into anything. Like, that would be a weird fit. You're already a finely tuned team, and you've got to, welcome in this ball-dominant player that is truly unique. That's going to take at least a year if that works at all. You know what I mean? With the Jazz, be like, man, you can come in, we'll build around, we'll figure out what's best. We're not even trying to win games now anyway, so who cares?
And by the way, let us look under the hood until April. Our season's over. We're not making the playoffs.
We're not going to make you play.
If we don't like what we see, just waive you. Like, they can waive him with absolutely zero cost. His contract is not guaranteed going forward. Again, if we just look at some of these teams that have made jumps, and you're like, how did Dallas get Kyrie Irving? They traded him for nothing. It was like, Kyrie Irving was damaged goods. So damaged that very few people, if any, would touch him. And then he goes to Dallas, and all of a sudden he's a good soldier, and he fits really well next to Luka, and they go to the finals. And you're like, oh, yeah, well, he's a freakish talent. He's a number one overall pick talent, and those guys don't become available very often, and fortune favors the bold. When you are willing to take a risk sometimes with relatively low downside with Kyrie, sometimes it's worth it. And so I'm just curious with this hypothetical with Zion, because he's not going to come in and make you win a bunch of games quickly. Would that be something the Jazz would consider? And that's, you put yourself in these positions to at least be in these conversations. And that's where you do need to be. You need to be in a spot where you can have conversations.
God, I can't believe Zion's non-guaranteed. Why did he sign that deal?
Well, it was he had all these triggers. He had to play X amount of games. I think there was body fat percentage in there. Like, there were things that said, Zion, we need you to take care of your body and take care of yourself and get on the floor. And you can make this 5-year, $190 million contract.
Bill Duffy of WME Sports for CAA, that's Zion's agent. Don't hire him.
Yeah, don't hire him.
You've got a superstar athlete that has all the leverage. How do you get that kind of team-friendly contract?
Market team,
that is crazy.
Yep.
And your client has those issues. Like, you got to know your client is going to struggle to hit those benchmarks. How do you let him sign that deal?
Yeah, this is from NBC Sports. It says, the risk of Zion's injury history led the Pelicans to push for and get a games played trigger to guarantee the final years of his contract. At the time, it was seen as highly unlikely Zion would miss enough games to trigger the clause. However, after playing just 29 games last season, now the final 3 years of his deal, which start 2025, 2026, are non-guaranteed.
Yeah, he's only guaranteed 18.3. Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's bad management is what that is.
So that's to the point where, again, if you wanted to be strange with the Jazz and try something different and say, like, hey, what if Zion and Lowry paired together was really special? Let's see if we can get it on the floor for 5 or 6 games, 10 games, and see what it looks like. And it's not going to change your lottery outcome, because honestly, John Collins is probably going to help you win as many games this year as Zion would in a 10-game stint or 15-game stint. But maybe you don't want to pay John Collins $25 million next year if you assume he's going to opt into his contract. You're basically trading for a high upside, very low downside, expiring contract in Zion.
Now, the other one, Brandon Ingram, has already said he won't re-sign in Utah.
He said he didn't want to stick around in Utah.
So he's pulling a Derek Harper.
Which, fine. Yeah, I don't
know if he fits into the window anyway.
And he's also always hurt, and he's pretty inconsistent. He's super talented as well, but hasn't ever really become the guy people expected.
CJ is not a spring chicken any longer.
Yeah. So, and we bring this up because teams already, the Warriors traded for Dennis Schroeder from the Brooklyn Nets over the weekend. These types of trades are being discussed. These types of trades are now on the table because as of yesterday, December 15th, the entire NBA can basically be traded.
Well, I don't know how you would have faith in the Pelicans with that good a roster being that bad.
Yeah.
I mean, that's something that – you used the word broken about the Jazz with Donovan and Rudy's last year. Never that broken.
No, that's a broken franchise.
That's like –
there are broken rosters.
Oh, the roster is broken too.
Yeah.
How do you not get more than 5 wins out of that roster with Zion or no? That's crazy.
Yep. So if you're looking for a deal and you're looking for a chance on a high upside swing, Zion's the exact type of player you look at.
Man. I thought Willie Green was a pretty decent hire. I wonder if the coach is their issue. I've never thought David Griffin was good at his job.
Yeah. I think that's totally fair. He was okay in Cleveland, but not elite by any means, despite having LeBron.
He was handed a lotto ticket.
Yeah, he was. Yep.
When they got that number 1 pick with Zion and all the return on the Laker investment.
Mm-hmm.
Man, they should have traded Anthony Davis somewhere else. I'm telling you, that was foolish.
Yeah.
And it was funny. He came into that job and he said, we do not have to trade Anthony Davis anywhere that he wants to go. And then what did they do? We'll send him.
We'll send him exactly where he wants
Send
to
him
go.
exactly where he wants to go.
I could also just see some silly trade with the Pelicans, like DeAndre Ayton, just flipping number 1 picks for each other. You know what I mean? Because my bet is that Zion doesn't have anything left.
Oh, man, but Zion's ceiling, if he does have anything left, is way higher than DeAndre Ayton.
But at least DeAndre Ayton kind of plays. But he's also he's nonsensical. He's an unserious player.
Zion's ceiling is best player in the league.
Yeah, he can be a legit top 10 player. I mean, we saw it last year when he was healthy. He was awesome.
I'm not saying bet on it, but there are only a handful of players that are unguardable in the NBA.
Yeah.
And if he's healthy, he's one of them.
Yep. Right. Even on this bad year that you were talking about him having, because he has not played his best this year, he's averaging 23, 8, and 5.
You go stand in front of that guy.
Right. Let him hit you.
I mean, it's amazing.
Yep.
That's make teams adjust to you size.
Yeah. I mean, he's never averaged fewer than 22 points a game in his career. Like, he's legitimately, to your point, he's an absolute hammer. He's just as impossible to stay in front of. He will abuse you if he's healthy. And last year, when he was healthy, he was pretty good.
Size and athleticism wins in the NBA. It does.
Yep.
And it doesn't mean you don't have to have skill, because you do. And he's got some skill. But size and athleticism makes you elite.
And he's 24. Again, it's not like he's 28 and this is his...
I'd think about it.
I would. No, I seriously would.
I don't know what the price would be, but I'd think about it. Say, come to this market where you have no distractions.
Yeah.
We're going to get you in shape. And we're going to we've got a complimentary player for you in Lowry who can really shoot it, which means you get some space, and we're going to go.
He looked good next to Walker.
Absolutely. And then all of a sudden your team is huge.
Yeah. Right. No, I totally with you. I totally would. And I would say you don't need to be the guy. You don't need to be Mr. Everything. You're not here to replace Anthony Davis. Like, that's not what you have to be. You just need to be Zion, and we'll take care of the rest. Like, just be you.
We're going to get you off the snap talk.
Yeah, right.
We're going to get you out of that world. We're going to find you a nice girl.
Whatever.
We're going to find you a nice young lady here in Utah to have a healthy relationship with.
But these are the types of things that Danny Ainge has shown some willingness to do historically. At least mingle, at least get into some of these conversations to acquire these types of players.
All right, stay tuned. We'll have more Jake and Ben. I think it's interesting. We'll see what the Pelicans do.
And where the Jazz go.
And if the Jazz will be involved. Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Hey, bro. You hear us every day with our crazy opinions.
Hey, what you doing?
Well, now, it's time to hear from you.
Hey, great show.
Download the KSL Sports app and fire off your thoughts with the call-in tab on the bottom of your screen.
Your show is fantastic. It's the one that captivates me the most.
You can tell PK to stop singing.
G-Bang! G-Bang!
Let Jake and Ben know what you really think of the Jazz. Woo! Tell Hans and Scotty about your favorite barbecue spot or what color of tie JJ should be wearing on TV. The best entries will be played on the air. Download the KSL Sports app now and hit the call-in button to let your voice be heard.
I think you guys do an incredible job.
This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. The sports you love, the teams you can't live without.
Get a sense of urgency!
This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. KSL's Quarters for Christmas is underway, raising money for local children in need. 100% of the money we receive is returned to the community to provide kids with shoes, clothing, and coats. You can donate online at kslquarters.com or at any Deseret Book location.
It's a great service.
Yeah, it is awesome, and hopefully people are getting into the holiday spirit, the giving, and all that sort of thing.
Absolutely. Hope you are, pal.
Oh, we're actually doing something today
as
a family that I don't know. It's a long. We're giving
back.
Yeah, we're
Good
giving back. And by the way,
if you can't,
also very
understand.
Yeah, understandable
but if you can,
for sure.
Please do.
And we're doing the road home coming up too, which we're excited about getting
Friday.
down there and doing that as we've done it every year. I've done it basically my whole career, so
it's one of the coolest remotes.
It's a great event, and they really rely on us. And we'll be down at the family shelter, and it's tough. You see those kids get on and off that bus. These families just need a little boost.
A little bit goes a long way.
That's what the
really
road home's all about.
Yeah,
the road home, if you will.
Yep.
So we're excited to be down there this week. Is the holiday season wearing you out yet, Ben?
I told you I had a crazy weekend, but that was all my doing. it was not several mistakes in a row that I made that compounded on one another, but I have since gotten out of it. And you know what? I'm pretty clear of hustle and bustle the rest of the way. Shopping's mostly done. Santa's gonna take care of the rest, and life's good.
Christian threw a Christmas kegger over the weekend.
Oh, a Christian kegger.
A Christian kegger.
Yeah, that's actually what I called it.
Feel the Holy Spirit. Yeah, it's a play on words.
Christian drove to Evanston.
Yeah.
Smuggled the keg back into the state.
Yeah.
He has a tap, of course, on hand.
Yeah. Are you the guy who keeps the keg, or do you take it back to get your deposit back?
No, I keep it and
nice. You build
make
a
a
tree
cool
out of it.
decoration.
Yeah, you decorate every year. The tree gets a little bigger.
Or a cool float if you go to the lake.
Sure.
Do like a rodeo thing.
Yeah, goes over Donut Falls. What's that called? He tries to go over in the barrel.
He's
always black and blue. He's always hurt.
But Christian talked about how disappointed he was with the white elephant gift. He received a Squishmallow.
Give it to my daughter. She'd love it.
Oh, yeah, they're big with the kids, but not with Christian.
For sure.
What? I've got to pick up a white elephant gift for a group party coming up. What's it? Give me I don't have I have an idea, but I can't do it. So
I will tell you exactly for this reason that you're stating, and exactly the reason Christian stated. Can we get rid of white elephant? Nobody likes it.
I've always preferred Secret Santa more.
Nobody likes it.
Oh, I think white elephant is funny if done correctly.
It is so rarely done correctly. It's a miss 9 times out of 10.
People just have to be creative. That's my point. Is I want a creative one because creative ones are like home runs.
But you know what you should do? Give something good then. Like pull some strings and see if you can get a pair of Jazz tickets that somebody actually wants. Like if it's like, it's an old rooster statue or something that's like, what? Why? I'm taking garbage off your hands. I don't want garbage. You know what people can use? Go buy wrapping paper. Everyone needs wrapping paper right now and tape.
But that's not the point.
Right. It's supposed to be garbage. Why? I don't want your garbage.
It's supposed to be funny.
If it can be funny, do it. How many funny people do you know in your life? 2?
I know funny people.
You're looking at them right now, dude.
Christian Kegger's funny. That's fine.
Hans isn't funny. Hans is more on the, if we're going comedy, the tragedy scale, Hans is way more on the tragedy side.
I will say one year for a white elephant gift, I received a goldfish, and that was pretty funny.
Okay.
It died 2 weeks later.
Yeah, right. Now
but
you're
it was really creative.
Goldfish.
See Christian on the show. Oh, man, I had a rough morning. My goldfish with Billy up?
Goldie died in my arms. I didn't know if I was going to be here today. But I flushed him down the toilet and I moved right on. It was fine.
I got to think of something. And again, I had a really good idea, but I'm not going to do it.
Bag of crickets from the pet store that people feed their reptiles.
See, that's mean. That's not funny. That's mean.
A bag of crickets?
Yeah, you can hear it in the corner.
Yeah, that bag is going to open, and then you got a house full of crickets.
Say it's in honor of Charles Dickens' classic, Cricket on the Hearth, which is a lesser known of his Christmas specials. But yeah, say that's what it's for.
You know what?
Leave it on their fireplace.
I would buy a 6-pack of Four Loko if such a thing still existed, but I don't think it does. Or it's still illegal in Utah, so I shouldn't do that. Oh, it's there, but it's not the same? That video you showed me of the guy that drank 12 Four Lokos might be the funniest video I've ever seen.
Oh, Rusty?
That might be like the funniest.
Rusty ranks beers? Yeah.
It's just like, classic. Do not do this. I mean, maybe one of the funniest things.
Absolutely. He goes to a different space.
I have ever seen. It's just hilarious. I've actually never had one of those.
No. Maybe get one for Christmas and your white elephant.
I doubt you do, but do you expect BYU basketball to win the league?
No, I want to know if they make the tournament.
Oh, I think they're going to make the tournament. I don't know. Maybe, I mean, without Demeen, I think they have a good enough team to make the tournament.
I mean, they crushed Wyoming. I don't know what that means. And their 2 losses haven't been terrible by any means.
And they were really good last year.
They were. What we are learning is Mark Pope might be really good. He might be really good. Like, he has Kentucky clicking at a really high level. And it's Kentucky. Like, it's a good basketball program. But you, and I think certainly you were more on this than I was. I'm a DeBoer believer. And taking the Alabama job is the same thing as taking the Kentucky basketball job, right? You always have the most talent, but you are replacing a legend. Nick Saban, far more substance to his legend than John Calipari. But regardless, you can't argue with the talent that has been at Kentucky over the last 20 years while John Calipari was there, however long he was there, 15 years, whatever it was. Mark Pope absolutely has that team clicking. I mean, they've already got 2 top 10 wins. They beat Duke. Duke has since dropped out of the top 10. They are not quite as hyped or as good as they were hyped. And they beat Gonzaga. And again, those were close wins. They beat Gonzaga by 1, but Gonzaga is a very, very tough team to beat. And they just beat their rival Louisville. Like, he captured that community, and they are fully in on Mark Pope. So that's a tough coach to leave behind. And I think Kevin Young's doing all the right things. I ran into him. Not like talk to him. He was at the Jazz game the other night with AJ DeBonsa, excuse me. And
the whole team, right?
The whole team was there, but everyone was there trying to get photos of AJ. He's doing the right stuff. And he's talking to all the right guys. He's introducing his players to NBA guys. Like, he's doing all the other things I think you have to do to stay relevant and keep people interested in your program, and that interest is going to be there.
But can he coach? That was always the question.
Can he coach? Yeah. And are they going to actually win games? And what I'm learning and what I felt really good about even last year, we saw it with Khalifa. It's like, man, he can coach. Mark Pope can coach. He was running really good NBA stuff last year, really smart stuff at the college level, which is hard to do because you don't have practice time to install good things. And he got those guys clicking. They were really playing well. He's carried that over to Kentucky. Now can Kevin Young do the same thing? And we don't know. It's early. It's way too early to judge that. So I want to see once they get into conference play and are playing some of these better teams, how that looks on a night in and night out basis.
That was always the crux of this grand experiment going on at BYU. You can land all the talent in the world, but can he put it together to have success on the basketball court? And that's his challenge. I've talked to people down there that think he can coach.
Yeah.
But that's what we're going to find out. Because Ed Ogeron was a great recruiter.
Yeah.
Ed Ogeron couldn't coach.
There are a lot of coaches who are great at getting talent together and can't do anything with it.
And selling the NBA thing is a big draw. Yeah. It's a big draw. You see the whole team down there shaking hands with Devin Booker. I mean, it's a big draw.
Yeah.
But then what do you do when you get it? Can you coach? Can you put it, and hasn't coached at the collegiate level? It's a different game.
Yeah, completely. Different schedules.
All of the things.
Yeah. So
I agree with you. That's a big question. My bet is he's a pretty good coach.
I would suspect he is.
So we'll see.
Did you see Ryan Smith over the weekend said he didn't have anything to do with AJ landing at BYU? He said,
I did.
He said it wasn't any of my money that got AJ there. He tweeted it out. We wrote the article at KSLSports.com as well.
Well, give me your opinion on it, and then I'll give you mine.
I would believe if there's not actual dollars coming out of his bank account that went to getting AJ there. I don't have any reason not to believe him. I don't think he would lie about something like that. I don't think that means he didn't have any influence on AJ getting there or didn't put things in place to get AJ there with finances, but it may have not come out of his pocket. I could believe that.
So he retweeted, Ryan did, some guy named Ted Farron.
Who tagged him basically saying, thanks for getting AJ here.
Yeah. And Ryan said, ha, Teddy Farron. Miss you, brother. Love the passion, but FYI, can't take credit. I'm not the donor here. Outside of buying tickets to BYU games, I didn't give any money to bring AJ to BYU. Got to give credit where credit is due. This is all about Kevin Young, the environment of BYU, the collective alumni, and AJ choosing the place he felt he could best continue to develop.
And, talking to Kristen Peak, which we did last week after AJ committed to BYU, she said there really was a super strong bond there between Kevin Young and AJ. There was a thing there immediately that was organic beyond who's going to pay me the most money. Because everyone was offering him all the money in the world.
But what I find hilarious about this, and by the way, I do this in my own personal life, and I'm sure most people do, so it certainly is forgivable. But everybody knows that money is fungible, right?
Right.
So, Ben, you have admittedly have a gas huffing problem.
Uh-huh.
And so if I handed you $10
and
said, Ben, go buy yourself a burrito or something. Don't take this down to Chevron. Now, you were planning on buying a burrito.
It's the Techron that makes the difference.
You were planning on that burrito and had $10 set aside for it. So now I give you $10 and say, don't huff gas. Well, then you take the $10 that was earmarked for the burrito, go get your gas, and then take my $10 and buy the burrito. You understand it's the very same $10.
It's the same 10, yes. Correct.
So I think it's probably a PR thing for Ryan to not be the face of the recruiting and the NIL recruiting for BYU for a variety of reasons, to not be it is him, which is what people assume now, because it's not just him, but that also doesn't mean he had nothing to do with the recruiting of AJ DiBonsa, yet people just they can't connect those dots. So he has to say, my $7 million or whatever actually went into fixing the ice cream machine, but that freed up the money that billionaire Bob was going to use to fix the ice cream machine to bribe AJ DiBonsa.
Or my money went towards getting Kevin Young on campus.
Right.
Or Kanan Catchings or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, yes.
But that freed up the dough from this billionaire to go get AJ.
Correct.
So, I mean, I see what he's doing there, but those types of arguments are always funny. And I say, like, my grandmother gives me a check, for Christmas. And I say, okay, I'm going to go get new shoes.
Yeah.
But what it really does is just go into my checking account.
Right.
And then hopefully I go get new shoes.
Right.
But I could spend it on a grocery store visit or whatever. It's not
hand to store. She doesn't put 20 in your hand, 20 goes right to the store. She buys.
I have Foot Locker cash my check.
Correct. Yeah, you're right. You're totally right.
But this happens in politics all the time, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah,
of course.
Oh, this is earmarked for that.
Yeah.
Is it?
And look, I'm honestly curious because this is going to start to become a problem because everything becomes a problem at some point. Like, he owns an NBA team. You can't have an NBA owner paying college players to go to the school
I think there is a conflict of interest there, too, yeah.
Like, at some point, someone's going to be like, wait, Matt Ishbia's paying all these guys that end up on the Phoenix Suns to go to Michigan State?
Yeah.
He's a Michigan State guy. He played there. But it's like, yeah.
Grand Canyon makes me laugh, though.
But, like, at some point, someone's going to be like, whoa.
And it's in Phoenix.
What's going on here? And by the way, if you don't think it happens, ask why Dennis Lindsey brought in so many Baylor guys to the Jazz. Like, he's a Baylor guy. He liked Baylor guys. So he brought Baylor guys to the Jazz. Over and over and over and over again. Like, those ties were really strong. It happens. We know it happens. And now in the world of NIL and the fact that an owner or even a GM could be a direct donor, there's going to be somebody who steps in and says, hey, I don't love that the owner of the Jazz is talking to the, ideal next LeBron James.
I agree with you, and I actually hadn't gone down that road too much, so that's a really interesting point. But I always bring up the Larry Miller thing. He always donated equally between the Utes and the Cougs because people don't necessarily realize that, the Jazz have nothing to do with Larry's collegiate interests.
Yeah.
But people don't think of it that way, and so we'd always build a scoreboard for one and build something for the other, and because the Jazz were not affiliated with either one, I thought it was a pretty savvy strategy myself, but Ryan Smith isn't going down that road, obviously. And
at least
I don't
not
know.
Yet. Yeah.
He might have been donated something to the U. I actually have no clue.
Cougs.
Yeah.
But he's building that basketball program and has a heavy hand in it, whether he wants to take credit for this or not.
Yes, correct. I think you're right on.
And Danny Ainge, too. And Danny Ainge probably didn't part with a red cent, but I bet he had something to do with this recruiting.
By the way, I will say, while Kevin Young and AJ were there and they were talking to some of the Suns coaching staff, like a member of the Jazz that was there, like as soon as AJ came over, beelined it out of there. Like, was like, I don't know if I can talk to a college player legitimately.
Yeah,
like,
interesting.
This might not be a spot where I'm able to talk to college players right now, and left immediately.
Wow.
And I kind of thought, like, I wonder if that was on purpose. And I suspect it was.
All right, stay tuned. We'll wrap things up coming up next. 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
This is DJ and PK.
We are joined now by the head football coach at Utah State University, Bronco Mendenhall. Is there a big group of players in Utah that you can recruit that the Big 12 teams are going to pass on simply because of measurables coming out of high school?
I believe that, and I think the majority of our roster here will be from in-state players, and I'm designing it based on that. In terms of just contracts signed or opportunities given in my career, 115 guys that I've coached, and I had some opportunity to play in the NFL. Most of those were three-star players. They were this group you're talking about. And so there's probably not a better head coach or staff designed and equipped to do just what we're talking about than us. So I'm really excited about just exactly what you said. And, man, I think that fits us so well.
Catch DJ and PK mornings from 6 to 10 on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. What's that? Whether it's the Jazz, Utes, Cougars, or Aggies, these guys have got you covered.
Time to eat, fellas.
You're locked on to Jake Scott and Ben Anderson.
1, 2, 3, move it.
On 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Two niggas on the airways, talking sports. They got him Matrix and also loves his tie-dye. Ben's got style with his scarves. Oh my. From the islands to the basketball court.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. This segment is brought to you by Peach Doors and Windows. Amazing home transformations begin with Peach. Our 5-star reviews are the norm. Call them today for your free and home estimate, 801-566-1255. Also, Miki Couture, take the stress out of Christmas shopping. Get the best blanket and gifts ever at Miki Couture. Save 50% by using promo code ZONE50 at checkout at MikiCouture.com or visit at one of the 6 Miki locations. It's been a fun show. Mondays, usually action-packed. Today was no disappointment.
We're in a little bit of a transition period out of college football and into basketball, college basketball. And one thing I am excited about is we talked quite a bit of Utah State basketball. BYU is going to be interesting. I'm curious if Utah can put it together as they get into conference play as well. We'll see what they're able to do. But I think this is a pretty intriguing college football or college basketball season coming up.
Are you in on Monday Night Football tonight? Your Bears, do they have a chance in Minnesota?
No. Minnesota's awesome.
Sam Darnold has 3,300 yards.
Didn't he just have a 5-touchdown game? Yeah.
28 touchdowns to 10 interceptions.
Oh, yeah, versus Jake's Falcons. Cooked him.
Meanwhile, the Jets have a 52-year-old guy that can barely throw it anymore.
Hey, you know what? He actually played his butt off yesterday, by the way.
Too little, too late there, Christian.
Exactly, and that's what's most hilarious.
Or Carolina, who'd they beat?
Jacksonville for their 4th win on the season.
Wow, a doozy. Probably don't want to win now.
But everybody in fantasy football that drafted Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams were out of the playoffs, but then here comes Devontae Adams scoring 40 points in a meaningless game.
Who would want Sam Darnold? That guy stinks.
Yeah, somebody got him as, I don't even know how drafts work, in 2 quarterback leagues or whatever, right? Someone got him as like, ugh, I got the last pick. I took this dweeb Darnold, and now he's,
I'm telling you, I know throw picks is playing well, but I'd start Zach.
Oh,
we have no idea how good that guy is.
I know Gino got hurt yesterday, but yeah, Gino's awesome.
Gino's playing great. Sam Darnold,
awesome.
Yeah,
right. Zach Wilson.
You go to the Jets, you stink.
Yeah.
And then you build it back up, and next thing you know, you're like top
superstar.
3rd in the league.
Yeah. Life's good.
Life's good. And they're talking about not re-signing Darnold, by the way, which is hilarious because everybody falls in love with these rookies. I wish GMs, because they have J.J. McCarthy, right? I wish GMs would look into the success rate of first-round picks because it ain't that great. Certainly not worth, if you got a guy, keep the guy.
And if he's great, if JJ's great, fine, trade Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
Someone will take him.
It's like the Family Guy meme, right? Where he gets the box and it could be a boat.
Yeah.
It's literally that situation.
Yeah.
J.J. McCarthy could be Sam Darnold, or you could just stick with Sam Darnold.
Yeah. Or you could just stick with Sam Darnold.
Yep.
Well, there's a lot of dumb general managers out there, Ben. All right, stay tuned. Hanson, Scotty G are coming up next.
Thanks, Christian.
97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.